Welcome back to Jersey Matters. I'm Larry Menti. Fixing New Jersey's transportation fund. I know they've been talking about it for a long, long time. There is a feeling that something might actually get done. And I'd like to introduce you to Greg Lalevee, who is the business manager of International Union of Operating Engineers, Local 825. More importantly, he is the chairman of the Road to Repair campaign, fairly new, about 8 months old. What is the campaign exactly?
We started the Road to Repair campaign to go and raise the public awareness of what the crisis is with the Transportation Trust Fund and how important it is to the economy of the state and the safety of our roads.
So you want to raise awareness about the problems with the Transportation Fund. How deep are the problems right now?
Right now, the Transportation Trust Fund will be about $400 million underwater between revenue and just debt service. That's a July 1st date. So we're staring at a very complex problem to solve and a lot of money to try to solve it.
Isn't there a point where it just runs out of money?
Yes, that's pretty much July 1st. The general fund put $320 million into the Transportation Trust Fund in the last budget year. Just for debt service, they would have to come up for $400 million this year if they don't do something to fix the trust fund.
And the fix that I keep hearing about, and as I was saying to you before, we've had many people come in and sit in the seat you're sitting in and talk about a gas tax. And what has stunned me is that we've had the head of the Chamber of Commerce in New Jersey, we've had Republican leadership, we've had Democratic leadership, union leaders, all coming in to say the gas tax must be raised. It is an extremely unpopular fix. That's what you have to run into more than anything else, is you've got the headwind of public opinion.
Well, the public opinion polls would show that people are against a gas tax per se. But when we talk about where the cost would shift if we don't do a gas tax, that's a completely different question. That would go straight to the bottom line property taxes. For example, the town of Montville recently applied for a Transportation Trust Fund grant to pave some of their roads. They were turned down. They were turned down because there's no money for the grant. So where does the town of Montville turn to get the money to pave those roads? It would be the local property tax base. So this comes down to a question of dealing with a gas tax issue or dealing with a property tax issue.
I can hear Bernie Sanders in my mind complaining about this kind of tax, saying it's a regressive tax, it'll hit the poor and the middle class more, the rich can afford this tax, that they should be hit hard, or it shouldn't be just across the board tax on something that everybody needs.
Well, there's a proposal out there that both sides have worked on, Senator Araho on the Republican side, Senator Sarlo on the Democratic side, and there were some trade-offs. There's an earned income tax piece that's being discussed as part of a Transportation Trust Fund fix to try to blunt the impact on those folks.
Let's talk about the gas tax, though. We talked about how unpopular it is, but I've been stunned by that everybody that's been in here, Republican and Democrat, as I said, Chamber of Commerce, business leaders, union leaders, all say there's going to be a gas tax. It has to happen. That should happen. So there seems to be some agreement across a very wide spectrum. The debate is how much. How much do you say?
I don't have an actual number because the proposals on the table talk about a gas tax at the pump, a possible petroleum gross receipts tax, which would be at the refinery. There's some talk of a jet fuel tax. There's discussion about doing something with the diesel fuel. So, you know, when the folks in Trenton figure this all out, where they want to put it, you know, at that point, I'd be very happy to respond as to whether or not I think it's appropriate.
Yeah, except that you keep hearing figures that are thrown out, 25 cents a gallon, up to 50 cents a gallon, and depending on who you talk to, it's too little, it's too much. It seems like no matter what you're talking about, it's going to be passed on to the consumers. Somehow, some way, that'll be passed on to the consumers. So somebody has to come up with a figure. Are you not taking a position on that at all?
Well, I think 50 cents is high. I know each penny of gas tax is about $50 million, and I know the $400 million disparity we have between current revenue and current debt is 8 cents alone. So I know there's a minimum of 8 cents. How much higher we go from there is how we figure out what our debt component may be as opposed to a pay-go component. There's some disagreement in Trenton between folks about what they think that formula should look like. So that's something that all the people under the Gold Dome have to figure out and then put their plan forward. And again, if it's something we like, I'll be happy to happy to back it.
And one thing that everybody seems to agree on is that something has to be done. We can't afford not to do something and more than we're doing now. That's safe to say.
It's a crisis. The fund is out of money. That's a fact. And we have 2,300 structurally deficient bridges. It's a safety issue. It's an economic issue as far as moving goods and services and gaining productivity from congestion. So it's a great thing to have fixed. It's good for our economy. It creates jobs. Fixing the Transportation Trust Fund would do a lot of good for our state.
Sir, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Larry.
Appreciate it. Greg Lalevee, who is the business manager for International Union of Operating Engineers, Local 825, most importantly, chairman of the Road to Repair campaign, trying to raise enough money to fix the Transportation Fund and in turn fix New Jersey's roads and bridges. When we come back, a fascinating problem in one Ocean County community that deals with real estate and religion. We'll explain when Jersey Matters continues.